Hello everyone, welcome to Death and Faeology demo. And one, I love the art style, and two, to give a description of what I know about this game, it's pretty much, it's like an investigation game, but instead of like you being a paleontologist or geologist or whatever those different degrees are called, you're a Faeologist because from the description that I read, there was a death or a murder or something like that involved with a Fae, and our specialty is in the world of Fae, which I completely love that world. It is honestly really cool. I even know the true origin of where fairies come from, like Tinkerbell and stuff. For those of you who do not know the Grimm Brothers stories, that's where you will learn it. Actually, it's pretty odd to state this in the very beginning of the video, but I'm going to do it anyway because I really like this stuff. The origin of the fairies essentially starts with death. Death of a human, of an infant. Yeah, you heard me right. That's where fairies are come from. The death of a child or an infant, because when you're that young, you don't necessarily know what's right or wrong, you just know fun, or have fun, or chaotic glee, or however you want to put it. So, for those of you who found that interesting, you're welcome, and for those of you who are now mortified at the sight of Tinkerbell, now knowing that, I do apologize. I did give you fair warning. But I don't know if this will fall into that category, but we will see. Let's go with the prologue. What is your name? Augustine. Let's go with a name I've been using on most things I'm doing right now. Dante. Okay. Grading first year assignments can be such an exercise in patience. I have to remind myself that Faeology is relatively recent science, only a couple of decades ago. This university, the only Faeology university in the whole country, was just finished being built in 1905. It is still barely acknowledged in the academic field. More importantly, I got to keep in mind that children inherit their parents' prejudices and misconceptions. That is so damn true. Luckily, my mom is not like that, even though there's probably some things that I probably have picked up from her. Being stubborn is one of them. The human world has formed its own notion of fairies. Alas, I find myself unable to suppress a big sigh every time I read references to poisoned apples ushering princesses into eternal sleep. A reference to the contingently fairies is one I can understand since it was quite the session not too long ago. Although it would be clear in the eyes of renowned Faeologists that the photographs are mere imitations. A pity that Sir Doyle was taken in by it. I ought to take a break. The grading session today has taken quite a tangent. My beloved Oz. I suppose having a fairy companion does give one an advantage in identifying genuine fairies. Uh, yeah, fairy. I'd say a break is in order, wouldn't you, Oz? Oz responds through trills that I've learned to interpret over decades I've known them. The contingently fairies again. Yes, and Princess Eternal slumber due to poisoned apples. We don't care much for human princesses, but making poisoned apples is rather an easy feat. Shall I turn one of them into a toad in front of the whole class to show that Fae folk is capable of more than that? At the same time showing them that not all fairies are a friendly bunch? I can't help but chuckle at the thought of that. I believe some might just quit the same day if you do that. Besides, if another Faeologist get a hold of your existence, who knows what they'll do to you. Chances are high those people would try to pin you to a corkboard and vivisect you. And vivisection or vivisect is, for those of you who don't know, if you ever seen images of people that have like bugs, like beetles or moths or things like that on a corkboard, or what looks to be like a little dissecting thing, like platter or table or whatever, that is a vivisection. It is for insects. So, and in this case, with how this phase depicted, which I really like, actually, I like this look, it is of a insect, so it would be a vivisection, which most people commonly in most games say fae are fairies, more specifically, are bugs in some stories, which I find that very disrespectful, considering those bugs, like this one, can turn you into a toad if they wanted to. I would never let that happen. I've always appreciated you pursuing Faeology to ensure that. This is the least I could do. We've known each other since I was 7. You saved me countless times since then. Well, you could have let me bleed to death when you found me. I would never. I can hear a delightful melody of chirps laced with a touch of whimsy, which makes me feel a tad fuzzy. It seems that even the laugh of a fae possesses some magical quality. While you're on a break, isn't there something else on your agenda this afternoon? Right, Mr. Henkel's letter. Thanks for reminding me. I retrieved the letter from my patron from my desk drawer. I lean back in my chair and read the missive aloud to myself. Dear Dante, how long are you going to keep me in suspense? Will you or will you not accompany me to this year's Leo's Gala? You could do a lot worse than forgetting your boring books for a moment in favor of a willing away an evening with champagne and canopies and invigorating company. And when I say invigorating, I'm not speaking of those old sods with deep pockets ready to exploit by way of funding grants for your research. I'm speaking of course, of yours truly. Do write to me sometime before Saturday. That's tomorrow's date, isn't it? Oh, I know, my delay in responding is entirely by design, I assure you. I hate to be getting the look from the crowd like I'm a wet blanket. Faeology isn't worth my due, they say. Oz replying chirp is decidedly indignant. I nod to Oz in agreement before returning to Mr. Henkel's letter. In other news, I've heard that little Ruthie Blythe caused a minor ruckus in the city's hottest speakeasy. if your old friend Detective Cruz hadn't been in the area at the time as well, who knows what could have happened. I find myself rather perturbed at this revelation. I would have telephoned Ruthie and asked what the story was, like when we were children. However, for better or worse, we aren't on friendly terms anymore. I resume reading my patron's letter. Speaking of the detective, have the two of you been keeping in contact? He gave me the cold shoulder when I crossed paths with him at last weekend's benefit. I couldn't help assuming that his persistently frosty treatment of me might have had something to do with you. It is unfortunate that the extensive bonds you have with him should end in a rather bitter taste. As you have told me more than once, when it was good, there was nothing else quite like it. Yet you speak very little of him now, and I find myself wondering if he still holds a place in the guarded heart of yours. The letter is signed, Yours Everlasting, Oscar Henkel. Well, I kept Mr. Henkel waiting long enough. I press a pen to a fresh sheet of paper and commence crafting a response. Just then, a familiar rhythmic rapping, pierces the silence. I glance at the direction of Oz, but there's nowhere to be seen. Oz must have camouflaged themselves in a heartbeat. I put Mr. Henkel's letter in the drawer before calling out. Come in, Minnie. My assistant enters the office. She's careful to snap the door shut behind her. Professor? Yes, Minnie? Were you talking to yourself again? That's right. You know me. I see. Sometimes I wonder what she must thought while hearing me mumbling sounds speaking with Oz. But she knows when not to poke her nose into things. One of the things I like about her, and also what makes her the bee's knees when it comes to being an assistant. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but he's here. Who? The police detective from the newspapers. Police detective? Even I echo those two words. There's a sinking feeling in my stomach. You know, the man who made you crumple the papers and toss them into the trash can? In the trash can? In the end, we had to stop our subscription for the dailies. Detective Theodore Krause. Yes, that's the one. Knowing Theo is here makes my world go momentarily off kilt. It's as if by the magic of the Fae tale the ink in my patron's letter has manifested him into the reception area. Okay, so we apparently had a falling out with this detective about either Fae or the existence of Fae, which, if I'm to be honest, if today was was a school for the Fae and learning about that sort of stuff, I would honestly go. I would straight up choose to be a Faeologist. That would be something I would do, and it actually would be pretty cool. Can you tell him I'm out delivering a lecture on the fair side of campus or something? That depends. Is a lie like that going to deter this man? And a Tooth's question, she is truly wise beyond her years. Probably not. He happily traversed the entire campus just to torment me, I'm guessing. Alright, let him in. With a brisk nod, Minnie returns to the reception area. I barely have time for a steady breath before Theo barges in. He drops a box on my desk right off the bat. What is this, and why is he in my office? Well, look who the cat dragged in. Not even a how do you do? What? Do necessities suddenly mean something to you? I seem to recall you packing your bags and moving out with so much as a goodbye. There was no one to say goodbye to. Didn't you find out I left only a few days later? At least it made it easier for you to leave, didn't you? Didn't it? There is a tinge of hurt in his voice that I'm only able to pick up because we lived together for several months. As my mouth struggles to catch the words hanging in the air, I feel a piercing icy silence creeping in. I ought to break the silence before I freeze. What's in the box? He lets out a deep sigh that rather sounds like relief. Your things that somehow you didn't take with you when you left, even that oddly crafted handkerchief you loved so much. That handkerchief was a gift for you. I see the corner of his mouth twitch. He's lying. What should I do with this information? Oh, reach out for the box to check. Um, I quickly stretch out my hand to the box, yet he is just as fast in catching my wrist before I can open it. I withdraw my hand from his grip swiftly like a startled bird soaring into the sky. That truly caught me off guard. I'd forgotten what his hand feels like. I was only kidding, although you really haven't changed much, have you? You just went straight for it. He sounds amused and slightly pleased, as if he just confirmed the accuracy of his deductions. Neither have you. I threw all of it away right after you vanished. He says with a subtle squint in his left eye, another lying tale of his. I can't help but sigh at his antics. Of course you did. So what's really in the box? Want to take a guess? I do have an idea. Knowing him, he sooner face the whole Al Capone gang by himself and take bullets before coming to visit me. This must be way more important than our poignant history. Case evidence. I've seen boxes like this before, but never one quite so large. It's a really big case, isn't it? He nods. The biggest of my career. And to come to me, of all people, you must be at your wits' ends about this. He looks away as if trying to hide how galling the circumstances at hand are. Truth be told, I'd rather face the whole Al Capone gang and take bullets than have to see you again. Gee, that stings a little. So, why would you... Hold on a minute. You think this has some sort of connection to fairies? He flicks his tongue in exasperation. Oh my, it seems I've hit the bullseye. We stopped talking about fairies at some point when we were still together. Those talks always led to a heated discussion and then into arguments because nothing I could say could change his skepticism towards mystical beings. This is certainly the chance to tease him about it, though I might be unwise considering the emotional peril he must have gone through to get here. What should I do? Teasing him would be a bad idea. I know this must be hard for you, but I can't help if you don't say anything. Sigh, you're right. As difficult as it to admit, the things you told me before about fairies and whatnot might have helped to make sense of this case. But I have to say, for the sake of my sanity, I still don't believe they exist. Fair enough. He appears pleasantly surprised by my answer, as though he was expecting a quarrel right around the corner. Little did he know I've learned that it's moot to try to explain otherworldly beings to him. So, what makes this case so significant? Okay, so catch up then. This character, the detective, and my character had a relationship at some point, and things ended badly between them because of the field that my character is in. And I keep seeing like certain things that would try to either provoke or like try to force him to convince, which I'm just gonna say straight up right now, I'm not gonna be that type of guy. I'm not that type of person. If you choose not to believe in something, that is your own choice. I won't force you to do anything that you don't want to do, but I won't force anyone. You believe what you want to believe. That is your choice. Why do you think it relates to fairies? Are you even allowed to tell me? I hear the sound of a chuckle under the breath like a bolt from the blue. For a brief moment, his gaze on mine seems to revert to how it used to be, until the seriousness returns to his face. First things first, since I'm leading the investigation, I do have some discretion on the details to divulge and to whom. That is, if the confidant can bring value to the investigation. And I've known you for a fact that you can be discreet. Still, I must ask your sworn secrecy to this matter. Okay. You got it. So tell me about the case. Why does it seem to be of paramount importance? In a multiple murder case, potential perpetrated by a single culprit. The victims are chiefly middle-aged women residing north of the city. They're from old money families, the types that make regular appearances at high society events. I see, no wonder you're all tense up. You're telling me. Chief took me off every other case and insisted I put all my time and efforts into this one. It's only a matter of time until the press catches wind and makes a circus of everything. And with some of the victims' peculiar manners of death, he paused. This is where the fairies come in. He silently stares and then sighs. I swear I must be losing my mind. You've got this. Now he draws in a long, deep breath. 3 of the victims had a manner of death that the unit has never seen or heard of before. Whoa. The strangest case is the one where the bodies seemingly harden into bony tissue overnight. Jeez. Her corpse almost looked like a carved wooden statue. Oh, I've heard of something like this before. Of course you have. I frown at him. Don't start now. He clears his throat audaciously. Without finding out what caused these deaths, and more importantly, who did this, the press could spin the stories out of control. I don't want to imagine the look on victims' families' faces if and when the papers are making raz of the poor women's deaths. Besides, what kind of depraved sick bastard goes around murdering women in such a way? The city's already running on fumes, crimes becoming more rampant day by day. People should have to look over their shoulders every night. It's no way to live. Even as he lapses into silence, I say nothing. It's not just the city. The rise in crime is bleeding him dry too. Yes, I am unsure of what words could soothe those who are fighting in the front line. I've never been where they are. The frown lines between his eyebrows grow deeper. You know, considering the victim's background, having these murders being exaggerated in paper would pressure the families to insist on closing the case as soon as possible, no matter the cost, no matter who's to blame. You're right, innocent people are going to bear the brunt for this. This is a terrible situation. I feel my stomach churning, my arms crossed on instinct, trying to hold my own disputed, uh, whatever that word is, in place. Is there anything you can do? I'm just one man. I try as I might, I can't keep those rotten police brass from lining their pockets. Nothing but a pack of lowlives in high places. He exhales sharply, his voice laced with contempt. Then he fell silent into silence yet again. Similarly, words seem to have abandoned me, as I can't shake the feeling of helplessness crawling under my skin. After a minute, he meets my eyes once more. Well, you're a good listener, but better than most. He curls his lips into almost a smile. I don't mind at all. He clears his throat once more. Alright, let's get down to brass tacks. This box includes case files, crime scene photos, a couple of blood samples which I was able to request to bring to you, and several other pieces of evidence. Other than the strange manners of deaths, I've said, forensics was puzzled too by the blood samples. How so? One of them doesn't contain iron. That's interesting. Nothing surprises you, does it? Well, about this peculiar peculiarity, I'd bring up something from my fairy book, but you'd always find a way to deny it. You're right about that. I'm still investigating the possibilities of unknown drugs or poisons that somehow cause these oddities, but I'd be a fool not to go after my hunches and look into all possibilities. What about robbery? It's not ruled out, no fingerprints, no evidence of breaking in, nothing had been stolen. And motives, revenge, we're still interviewing the city's elites looking for the possible motives. But it takes time, you know how it goes. Yes, of course, they're very busy. Speaking of city elites, I know people who can be very helpful in getting some inside information. His expression turned sour at full tilt. Who, that man? I said people, but yes, that man would be particularly helpful in this matter. He scoffs brazenly and doesn't even try to hide it. Even at the first meeting with Mr. Henkel, there was some inexplicable tension between the two. Theo said something about Mr. Henkel feeling off and always hated it whenever I had something to do with him, although I might just be jealousy in disguise. You know I'm right. Even if he barely in the newspapers, he's almost likely at the pinnacle of high society, and I don't think he'll mind if I ask him a few things about this. Why, of course, he's always got a soft spot for you. He'll help. Hell, he's probably carrying a torch for you for a long time, judging by the way he follows you everywhere. Well, he happened to be interested in Faeology and has a lot of money to allow its development. Look at you, all ready to defend him. What, are you two an item now? Well, talk about jealousy right there. Okay. I might have steered this reunion back to where we were months ago by bringing up Mr. Henkel, but it was necessary to mention him. I don't know anybody else who would have that much information about high society. Besides, there has never really been anything, even if we did go to fundraising events together from time to time. It was strictly business. Yet again, Theo seems to lose his reason whenever we talk about Mr. Hunkel. I don't know. I don't have the time or the energy to argue with him. What should I do? Making him see reason would be logical, but explaining the truth about the relationship with Mr. Henkel would also. It might stir things up more. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Mr. Henkel? Yeah, the truth. We go to a fundraising event from time to time, but these are work. I've got to get money for my research from somewhere you know. Our relationship is strictly business. He gives you a dirty look. Sure, I believe you. No, he doesn't. Besides, what I do with him is none of your beeswax. His voice becomes even more irritated. Ugh, I chose the wrong one. Do whatever you want with him. Just make sure he can keep his mouth shut about the case. I can't help but groan at this turn of events. I will. While we're on the subject of useful allies, you mentioned before about blood that doesn't contain iron. I can take the blood sample to the university chemist. She's good at what she does. And she's from a rich family. She might know of some of the victims, or their families at least. I'll trust your judgment. I take it this is you agreeing to help with the case. That's right. There are lives at stake. He lets out a soft smile, as though in quite agreement with what I said. Thank you. Well, if you think it'll be helpful, you can even ask the people you mention what they know using the evidence items. But the case files are for your eyes only. Understood. He has fallen silent somehow, leaving an uncomfortable hush in the air once more. Suddenly, a realization comes to mind. Does this mean you'll be willing to hear about fairies, about Faeology? That depends. If this was indeed fairy doings, and if through your investigation you can provide solid theories on three things: the culprit, their methods of murder, and their motives. Supported by evidence, of course. I'm sticking with the idea that they're logical explanations, an earthly one, for now. Fair enough. I wager that we have approximately 24 hours to get some sort of answer, an answer that makes sense. I can feel the papers are close to getting the story. While you're investigating this lead, I'll look further into unusual drugs and poisons. How about it, Faeologist? Do you dare take on this challenge? Do I? Accept the challenge. Bring it on, detective. This brings a grin to his almost consistent, brooding face. Good. If you need anything from me, just ring me. Aye, sir. But you need to promise me that you'll not just hear me out, but also keep an open mind on fairy topics if I succeed in what you ask. I promise. I can't promise not to scoff from time to time. That's good enough. I ought to get going. Maybe this will be an opportunity for you to increase Faeology's credibility in the eyes of the academics. Maybe. Seems like some detective has been following the tiny part of Faeology in the newspaper, says you. The one who had to stop the daily paper subscription just because some detective kept getting the headlines. How do you? Before I could finish, he had walked towards the door and opened it. See you tomorrow around the same time. Okay. I hear the door close. Hey, I exclaim with a hint of frustration. After some thought, I realize that he must have noticed the missing newspaper on my desk, and my assistant's my assistant. Reading papers was part of my daily routine when we were together. I can only shake my head in disbelief. He hasn't changed much either. As I'm reminiscing about a few comments of our past relationship, Oz reveals himself again now that we're all alone. That was quite the reunion. It was quite the reunion indeed. He hasn't changed at all, has he? I suppose. Although you don't have an obligation to help him. I know, but I've already agreed. Very well, just don't overwork yourself. Yeah, thanks, Oz. I find myself slowly drifting into thoughts. A victim manners of death hardening into bony tissue could be one of the Fae curses, ossification. If only I could ask Oz whether a Fae was behind this, and which one, but it's not that simple. Even if they are my longtime companion, fairies have their own rules about exchanging favors, and they are secretive about their land too. A favor like that doesn't come cheap. At least I'm stocked up on milk and honey for small requests. Speaking of requests, I should get started on a reply to my patron's letter. For some reason, he seems to be more insistent this time that I come with him to the gala. I retrieve a paper and pen and mumble to myself as I write, Dear Mr. Henkel, I hope your recent forays into high society have proven more fruitful than they have in... Should I be hyperbolical? Be realistic. More fruitful than they have in half a decade or so you've been alive. Believe it or not, I have been considering whether the merits of trying to impress the wealthiest folk of the city outweigh the obvious indignities. You first brought up the possibility of my accompanying you to the annual Leo's Gala as a couple of months ago, and I'm still weighing my options. How do I want to play this? Be apologetic. I still don't have a definitive answer for you at present, I'm afraid. I sincerely apologize for my indecisiveness. About Ruthie, I can say I'm surprised to hear about her latest flirtations with disaster. Since we were both toddlers, she's frequently found herself in trouble. Her fiery personality certainly doesn't help her get out of quarrels. I would love to telephone her and ask how she's doing, but we drifted apart a long time ago. Nevertheless, I'm glad to hear that Theo was there to smooth things over for her. I've now arrived at the topic of Theo or Detective Course, as my patron refers. I suppose his query was meant to uncover whether I still care for Theo. How should I answer? I remember under my breath. As for Theo, I must be honest that sometimes my thoughts wander back to him. However, such thoughts are fleeting at best. A moment of regret over the decisions to end it. Upon signing off, I seal the letter with wax. I then turn towards my trusted Fae. Oz, can I please trouble you with something? You want me to deliver this letter to your patron, do you? Don't you? Indeed, time is of the essence here. As always, please take care not to catch anybody's attention. You'll see it by tomorrow morning, I'm sure. It would be my pleasure. Thank you, Oz. I'm off. I'll see you later today. I'll watch as Oz lifts out of my office window and vanishes. Once the Fae is gone, I call my assistant to my office. Yes, Professor? Hold on 1 second. I rifle through the contents of the box. Carefully, I extract the blood samples that Thea mentioned. They appear to be stored in test tubes. Would you mind asking Dr. Rayford to analyze these blood samples? I'll do that, sir. As I hand the samples to her, I notice that she looks like she wants to say something. Over the 2 years we've been working together, I've picked up on a few of her tells. What is it, Minnie? How'd it go with the detective, if you don't mind me asking? Oh no, not at all. He's the same as always. There's lingering beef, of course, but we've sort of managed to put it aside for something more important. He has brought me a rather significant case that he suspects that might have supernatural elements, as hard as it was for him to admit it. Oh, good for him. I can't help but grin at her remark. I'm glad it didn't end in a shouting match at least. Yeah, me too. I'll deliver the blood samples now, Professor. Thank you, Minnie. Minnie hurries out. I'm alone in my office again. Remembering the conversation about the case again, I'm suddenly engulfed by unexplainable, eerie feeling. I should start the investigation right away. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. Drag and drop items from the inventory to the desk. Select an item in the records, then press the icon to open the inspector and read insights you've gathered. Select that little icon. Okay. How hover over the magnifying glass above and evidence to access the information and see the details in it. Use the black light to see invisible things. Read the encyclopedia to gain additional information. Press the button to end the investigation. Okay, let's go ahead and records. Here we go. Let's do this one first. And this calcification. That's gonna be an interesting one. Tools. First victim's crime scene. This is the first time I've encountered something that could be ossification. I feel sick to my stomach. No one deserves to die like this. Something's odd with her fingers. Name Audrey Wooldridge, age 51 years old. Manner of death, hardening into bony tissue. From afar, the corpse looks like a carved wooden statue. Time of death, 1:48 p.m. Victim profile, an affluent middle-aged woman in the city. Police report the victim reported hearing strange noises and seeing strange phenomena in the days immediately preceding her death. The interviewing officer suspects, due to the victim's strange behavior, involvement in occult matters. Forensic. No traces of drugs or poisons from what could be extracted from the body. Further autopsy is still in progress due to the victim's manner of death. Wooldridge. Now that's a familiar name. Records. Tools. Here we go. Fae and insects. Similarities of Fae kind. Blacklights. Scribed phase. Wow, this is actually really cool. Oh wait, hold on. One, two, three, four. She has 5 fingers, and I'm not meaning the thumb. Because the thumb is not technically a finger. A finger, it's an appendage, but she has literally like 2 pinkies. Okay. Notable incident. Changeling. There are unconfirmed rumors that some high fae like to capture humans and bring them into the Fae land for purposes such as forced reproduction, servitude, ritualized combat for their amusement, and so on. The fairies leave changelings behind to mask their absence. A changeling is composed of several fae, typically of the parasitic type, magically transformed to look almost exactly like an abducted human. Due to the complexity of the Fae's magic required to create a changeling, the enchantment almost always goes awry. Anomalies common among changelings include extra fingers or an extra toe. Nearby heat conducts such a small metallic object have also been known to repel or to warp the magic of creating. Ah. Let's undo that real quick. You know what? That's what it is. Hold on. Okay, so this stuff. So this middle-aged woman in the collar blouse is the victim. I guess this elderly man in the suit is her father. The elderly woman wearing the cardigan is her mother, I suppose. This despicable man is perhaps her brother. Not despicable, but whatever the word would be. I just won't be her. Yeah, no, her hand is normal. She doesn't have like an extra one there. Records, and this was a thing too. Makeup, old coin, more family photo. Okay. Oh, hello. Huh. So she was taken by Fae and replaced with one. So she's a Fae, a changeling. Okay. Okay, so let's put that there. Nope. Okay. Select an item in the records, then press the icon to open the inspector and read insights you have gathered. Icon to open the inspector. Okay. Hover over the magnifying glass above, then evidence to access information and see the details in it. Use black light to see invisible things. Read the encyclopedia to gain additional information. Press the investigation button. Okay, do I have to do... Tools, records... Fairies with limited magic consistently needing to feed. So the middle-aged woman in the collar block. Okay. Case file 1. Records. What am I not doing right here? Okay, select an item in the records, then press the icon to open this. Okay. That's what I'm doing wrong. Aha. Do I need to go through all of them to see? Probably. Next one is Susan Moore. Okay, so I need to extract it. Okay. Name Susan Moore, age 40 years old. Manner of death, refusing to drink anything but her own blood. Time of death 11:03. Victim, an affluent middle-aged woman in the city. Police reports the victim's mother reported that the victim was suffering from a prolonged paranoid episode in the days leading to her death. Specifically, the victim was acting erratically and saying strange things. Forensic reports, despite the manner of death, there was no signs of dehydration or hemochromatosis, no traces of drugs or poisons. Blood type unknown, other blood-related investigation are underway. Note, blood does not contain iron. Okay. This seems to be the second victim's crime scene. Her complexion is not quite pale hue of death, far paler than should be possible, almost drained of color. Something's odd with her fingers. What? One, two, three, four, five. Another 5? Like, we have four. That's one, two, three, four, five. Yeah, no, that's five again. Fairies are limited magic, such as blood. Parasitic. However, the mechanism, such as blood, hormones, emotions, and life force. However, the mechanisms and rates at which these drainage processes occur are greatly varied. Eight o'clock in the evening. My patrons invited me to this event. I'm still uncertain if I want to attend. It's interesting. So this middle-aged woman with the pearls is the victim. I guess this elderly man with facial hair is her father. The elderly woman with the fur color is her mother, I suppose. This other man in the darker suit is maybe her brother. Wait, what is that on our hand? Whoa, hold a second. Get out of the way. Swirl? What the hell? Fairies with limited magic consistently need to feed off of other sources of energy, mostly drained from humans such as blood, hormones, emotions, and life forces. However, the mechanisms and rate at which these drainage possesses occur are greatly varied. Although very Scribe fairies. The scribes are a high fae who are capable of expressing benevolence and kindness that are similar to human kindness, and they tend to be friendlier to humans. However, this kindness is only shown in the form of favor exchange, and they do not go out of their way to help help others like humans would. The scribe magic that assists humans is contingent upon a favor that human delivers to them. For example, some scribe fae may use their magic to give blessings to humans who have done very special favors or boons for them via inheritable invisible markings such as sigils or birthmarks. These blessings can last through generations. The rumor fae touch bloodlines have become wealthy and powerful through the decades that they have been favored. The more has a fae touch, which means... Okay, that's intriguing. Like, very intriguing. Huh. I now wonder. Records. Sir. Oh, wait, Halo. Wait, but why is it only on their hands? Wait, hold up. She has it. Hold up, wait a sec. These two have the mark. She doesn't. If it's of a whole family lineage thing bestowed through birth lineage, birth markings and stuff like that, like this says, these two, if this is truly her brother, would have had the same marking, but only these two do, not him, and she has it too. So maybe these three are related in some way. Let's see. That marking is on the left hand in this picture, but the left hand is, besides being records. Okay, so it looks like from just those two there, they were changelings, judging from how the hands are, because they had 6 fingers, unless that's something that is not current. So changelings, so they were forced into servitude, forced reproduction, or ritual combat, so battle to the death, for the Fae's amusement. But it also looks like scribe fairies bless those families' lineages or bloodlines. Oh, you know what? Probably what it is then? The family did not own their lineage as part of the agreement, and probably this is just their punishment, possibly. Huh. Like, they're... Yeah, okay. So next one is her. Holy shit. Another one again? But another with that gala. Right there. Name: Edna Niblet, age 64 years old. Manner of death: gnawing her finger bones down to the bone. Time of death: 10:10 a.m. Victim profile: and woman of society. Another one. A friend of the victim reported that she visited the victim's residence to drop off an invitation shortly prior to the victim's death. The friend also wanted to check on the victim's well-being, as she had allegedly been acting strangely as part of the night before. According to the friend, she witnessed an emotionally charged conversation between the victim and a young factory girl. However, the friend did not think much of the interaction at the time. At the crime scene, the invitation card dropped by the friend was seen close to the victim's corpse and was taken as evidence. Forensic reports: no traces of drugs or poisons. Blood type unknown. Other blood-related investigations are underway. Note: blood does not contain iron. No blood containing iron. Interesting. It's the third victim's crime scene. Her fingers I've seen corpses before, but never like this. There's another strange thing about her fingers. Yeah, the left hand has more fingers than it should. Like, yeah, no, 2, 4, 6. Yeah, that's 6. What the hell? Wait, 2, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. So, yeah. Interesting. coin? Anything? Oh. What's happening? Wait. What the hell? Faction frequently resides in groups are territorial, they are protective of their troops, and tend to be unfriendly towards outsiders. Come from their scribe faction or are human. They will smite anyone who interferes with their group. Humans entering their territory, even if accidentally, may face elimination through warriors' offensive magic. Although fairy warriors typically remain within their own kind and seldom venture beyond the boundaries of the Fae realm, they are known for their aggressive temperament and volatile disposition. Caution is strongly advised when encountering and interacting with these beings. That's not it. Parasitic fairies, composed of several Fae. Different, although Fae are quite rare, some high Fae insects. Huh. So there are two main, the Fae, the scribes, and the warriors, for their defensive magics and their intelligence. Meanwhile, the low Fae faction is comprised of a Fae that with limited parasitic magic. Cold iron was often forged as weapons, combined with physics and chemistry is applied by Faeologists to develop a special black light to detect and distinguish the magical essence of three main types of Fae. Beneath the black light, scribe magic appear blue warrior magic, red and parasitic magic being purple or violet. So that's violet, and I've never seen this before. This is a parasitic Fae. A failed transformation magic. Whoa. Wait, hold on. Red. Warrior magic being red. Interesting. Parasitic magic again. Huh. I saw something on their hands. Yeah, no, I'm trying to do it, but for some reason it's not going to work. Hmm. Let's take a look at the last one, though, I guess. Name Mary Hatcher, age 19. Okay. Manner of death from shock due to arsenic poisoning. Time of death 6:15. Victim profile, a young factory worker. Despite not fitting the trend of the previous victim profile, she has been preliminarily included in this case because she was seen having a heated conversation with the third victim shortly before the victim's death. The victims rather described her as not acting like herself. In the days before she passed, shortly before her death, the victim visited the police station. According to the interviewing officer, she seemed to be on the brink of confessing something when the look of terror suddenly crossed her face. She then appeared to change her mind. She hurriedly left the station without saying anything further to the interviewing officer. Forensics report. Prior to death, the victim suffered from a violent abdominal cramping followed by diarrhea and vomiting consistent with the effects of arsenic poisoning. Traces of said poison can be found in the blood, type A, and the glass where she was drinking from near time of death. The blood contains iron and other elements commonly found in human blood. Okay, so this one sounds like just a normal case. This is the fourth victim's crime scene. Poor girl. What a cruel thing to see the youth being stolen so abruptly. And a makeup box. Nothing. A note. I've seen this makeup powder somewhere recently. It's from Nectar Bell. It must have belonged to one of them, but which? I wonder if the owner likes the box design and carry around in her pocket since it's already used. Perhaps the chemist has some interesting insight since her family owns the brand. Are you sure you want to end the investigation now? Well, okay, let me just make sure I got this all understood. So let me just do this. Right, and yeah, put the pictures. Okay. They were all. Three of the victims were killed by parasitic Fae. But three of the victims' families have bloodlines that traces back to being blessed by scribe fairies. And each one of them have markings or consistencies with changeling phase, because each one of them on their left hand, or on one of their hands at least, have 6 digits, not including 5 digits, not including the thumb, so an extra pinky. Showing signs of a changeling. The only person that doesn't fit into this whole thing of like deaths is the one 19-year-old. Besides having been seen arguing with the third victim, she saw something and was being chased. Which. Oh. What if she was being chased by a warrior fae? That's possible because it says here that they're very territorial. So, and if someone walks into the world and not realizing it's their territory, they would be chased and then would be marked for death. So more or less she went to go to the police station, but since more or less she was marked for death by the warrior fae, she would be the only one to see them. So she went home and, I don't know, to save herself maybe, she ended everything before the fake warrior fae could attack her or something. Typically remain within their own kind and seldom venture beyond the boundaries of the Fae realm. They are known for their aggressive temperament and volatile disposition. Caution: a strong advice when encountering and interacting with these. Parasitic Fae. It's not this, so hers has to be maybe related if she was being chased by one, because with how it was, it probably seemed like she was. These ones had a lineage of being blessed by the scribe fae, but now all of them have been killed in some manner or way with a parasitic fae. And the only reason I say that is because each one of them has an extra digit on all their hands. On one of their hands, which is that of a changeling, which means that's how it would be. Yeah, that's interesting. A knock on the door makes me glance up from my desk. I realize the sun has set while I've been absorbed in the investigation. Come in. My assistant enters the office. Dr. Rayford has arrived to drop off the blood samples and she wants to talk to you. Already? Yes, she's just out the door. I must say, I'm pleasantly surprised at her work speed. Alright, send her in. Minnie nods. She returns to the reception area. Dr. Florence Rayford enters. It has been only 3 years since she has worked at this university, but she has proven her reliability more often than not. Good evening, Professor. Good evening, Doctor. She hands over the blood samples. She also gives me her lab reports. Here you go. Thank you. So, what have you found? The most peculiar thing is that there is no iron in one of the blood samples. Say, is this fairy related? Her question promotes me to ask myself to what extent of the case can I divulge to her. Theo did say I may ask the patron of her for information using some of the evidence. Although she has a knowledge of fairies and their curses, she can handle seeing crime scenes photographs. As I return from my thoughts, I notice her voice has taken on a higher pitch. This is so exciting. Are you working with the police? Does this mean that we'll get better credibility in the eyes of the public? Oh my, we're going to be in the newspapers, aren't we? And not on the usual corner spots, too. Oh, I can hardly contain myself. It appears she took my silence as a yes. It's good that she's excited about the possibility of advancement for Faeology, but her cheerful disposition can sometimes be rather overstimulating. As if on cue, a knock on the door arrives to spare me. The significant sound is more familiar than when my assistant knocks. Special delivery! Mr. Henkel's hands are empty. And what pray might you be bringing for me? Is it you? Are you the special delivery, Mr. Henkel? If you wish to call me special, then I certainly won't stop you. But I did bring a box of huckleberry muffins from your office. Minerva is consistently enamored by their buttery scent. She's certainly feasting on them. Hope we can only hope she'll leave a muffin apiece for the rest of us. Oh well, they're floors. I can't speak correctly. I didn't expect to see you in this office. Hello, Mr. Henkel. Fancy seeing you here. Although you do have a habit of making this office your sole stop on campus, she chuckles. That's just because this is where all my money went. A well-spent investment nonetheless. He makes a retort at Dr. Rayford, but throws a subtle smile in my direction. How cheeky. Florence, what's been occupying your time of late? She looks at me briefly, possibly wondering whether she should tell him about what she did for me. The usual matters, I suppose. I tried asking your father about you at the last soiree. However, he confessed he didn't have the faintest idea. You must tell me more about your chemical research one of these days. The colorful pursuit of your young academics thrill me to no end. You know I can't share all that much, Mr. Henkel. Unless, of course, you find yourself in the position to become my chemistry department benefactor, then all their secrets are yours. And a more playful giggle escapes her lips this time. I'm afraid I'm all tapped out, financially speaking. Oh, I'm not buying that one, not for a second. He's telling fibs, isn't he, Professor? Well, now I certainly don't want to get in the middle of the money talk of the rich. I wish I had that information, Doctor. It would make proposing for research much easier, with a bit of delicate leverage, naturally. Mr. Henkel laughs in amusement. It seems I should ask the reason he was here before the conversation takes an odd turn. On another note, Mr. Henkel, did you get my letter? Is that the reason why you dropped by? Upon recalling what I asked Oz to insert in the letter into the mailbox only this afternoon, I'm about to retract these questions. Unexpectedly, though, he bows his head in assessment. Your words have always had this immersive impact on me. Perhaps that is why you are such an effective educator. Whenever I encounter your written language, I long to hear the spoken poof. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Are you putting a spell? Nope. I think you're the one with all the spells, Mr. Henkel. Your muffin, for one, have always been successful in getting Minnie's guards down. Oh dear, you two are making me blush. I suppose it's time I take my leave and let you both be. I'm due somewhere shortly anyhow. Oh no, that might not be necessary. I can't stay long either. Mr. Henkel lapses into silence as he continues staring into my eyes. It's difficult to maintain eye contact with him, but even harder to look away. I wonder what I should do. I ought to discuss the case, but both of them seem to be in a hurry. Should I tell Mr. Henkel to return another day, since I need to have an important conversation with Dr. Rayford right away? Or should I dismiss the chemist and... Soliciting Dr. Opinion on the case may be a good idea. Yeah, no. My research for a long time, he also is more familiar with fairy topics. Whom should I interview? I say Rayford. Dr. Rayford glances at me and then at Henkel and then back to me with a glimmer of mischief in her smile. Are you sure, Professor? I let out a resigned sigh. Sometimes it can be quite difficult to deal with her teasing. Yes. When I address my patron once more, I regret colors my tone. Mr. Nickel, would you mind coming back another day? I have something crucial to discuss with the doctor at present. Of course, I understand. Your scientific pursuit precede all else. I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for dropping off those muffins. He only replies with a smile. I'll see you soon, right? As soon as possible, I promise. They exchange brief goodbyes. I'm alone with the chemist again. Doctor, I might need your future assistance regarding the blood samples and also something more pressing. So it is true you're working with the police. I suppose Detective Krause consulted me this morning about an ongoing criminal case. Oh, do I sense some old... your eyes are tricking you, Doctor. It has been ashes for a long time now, and nothing has changed. There is a hint of disbelief in her eyes, but I won't indulge in her playful teasing, as there is more important matters at hand. I cleared my throat. So, I would also like to ask you for information, as you might be acquainted with some of your victims or their friends and families. Alright. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you. Also, I do need your sworn secrecy on this. Of course. I'm adept at keeping secrets. You need not worry. For those samples I analyzed are part of evidence in this case, right? That's right. Let us begin. I tell her the fundamental facts of the case while she listens silently all the while. When I finish my summation, she has only one word to say to me. Interesting. Okie dokie. Save. I think I'm going to save it, stop here for now. Even though this is a demo, this is going on for a good lot. And as you can probably see from the timestamp here, I'm getting hungry and I got some other things to do. So if you guys liked the video, go ahead and like, subscribe. This is going to be a bit of a long one. Longer than some of my other ones I've posted up of recently. But if you guys liked it, do the normal stuff, like, subscribe, notification stuff. And if you guys like this sort of content, more of the like this kind of content, investigation stuff, I've done some other ones where I did more of a investigation style game. I'll go ahead and post that one up somewhere on the screen. And I have written some stories on this channel and did illustrations. So if you guys also want to see some ones of my own, I'll also have one up here as well that I think you would enjoy, like, if you like this sort of stuff. But yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye.